Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, and welcome to the channel as well. If you're new in this video, I wanted to do a short but powerful, hopefully, update for next week. So we'll talk a little bit about what I think is most important going into the next week. We had some fundamentals coming in, or some news coming in over the course of the weekend as well, which I briefly wanted to talk about for those of you who did not watch my Bitcoin videos, which, of course, it can happen. It can happen one weekend, but if you miss them next weekend as well, there's going to be a problem. But outside of that, we also just got a beautiful momentum initiative candle right here for Bitcoin, which is one of the indicators I created. I'm now creating indicators for myself, which is pretty fun. So that's great. And historically, I mean, you can see we also formed that at the bottom right here, Tuesday, the 4th of November. We saw some bullish momentum after that. We formed it right here. We saw bullish momentum. We formed it right here. We did not see bullish momentum. We formed them here. Bullish momentum here. Not bullish momentum here. Bullish momentum. So it's not 100%, but quite often we actually see some bullish momentum coming out of that. So we'll talk about Bitcoin specifically. Talk about XRP and Ethereum, and we'll talk about a couple of altcoins that I think you need to keep your eyes on so that you can create some sort of an altcoin watch list to know what to focus on going into the next week. So let's get right into it. Now, in terms of news that we got over the course of the weekend, the probability of the US government shutdown taking longer, basically, the probability of that increased. I think at this point of time, like, yeah, the government shutdown forecast hits 50 days. Which is not amazing, right? I mean, ultimately, it's always difficult to know why there was quite a lot of unrest in the markets last week, but we know it was the case. And then Friday, obviously, at least the volatility index pulled back quite aggressively. Like, this is bad news. We also got some good news about China suspending a ban they had on rare earth minerals to the United States, or at least export restrictions. So that's relatively bullish. For me, you know, talking about that, we outside of that, we did not get that much news. But talking about that, I mean, for me, it's going to be crucial to take a look at that volatility index tomorrow morning. Right, so the volatility index, gold is relatively steady, right? We've obviously seen a massive rally for gold already. Like, a lot of things right now that are happening in terms of unrest already seem to be priced in for gold. So the main thing we look at for unrest is the volatility index. That was rallying for a majority of the time last week. Equities, because of that, fell down much lower. Earlier in the week, Bitcoin, of course, fell down much lower. So we need to see how this opens and how this develops tomorrow morning. And that is, I think, by far the most important thing that you need to know for Bitcoin, but also for altcoins. So keep your eyes on that, or watch my Bitcoin morning updates, in which I'll obviously talk about that as well. But that's going to be very interesting. Outside of that, I mean, it's also quite crucial to see how the liquidity situation is. Obviously, last week we had a little bit of a supply crisis when it comes to liquidity. When you look at last week, you can see that the repo operations actually decreased significantly November the 4th. So that's quite good. And we also knew that the SOFR spreads, which if the spread is increasing, that's bad news. We also saw that actually decreased quite significantly right here, which is good news, right? So that's not where a lot of unrest comes from, but still from things like the government shutdown, we can see more unrest. And if the volatility index continues the uptrend that we are in right now, that's bad news for equities, and therefore that's bad news for Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin itself, as you can see right here, we've actually been able to break above the 7-day rolling VWAP. We've been able to break above the 382 FIB, and we're putting in a momentum candle, so we're gaining momentum in terms of volume and leverage. For me, it's a Sunday. It's not a high volume breakout. So even though, and I also told you, like, I do expect a bullish breakout, I'd say at this point of time, it's a little bit more likely that we are going to test back into the range. Okay, so that we will fall back into the range. We'll stay in that range for a bit longer. And then somewhere next week, as long as we don't see major escalation fundamentally with the volatility index, I think then we can see a real bullish breakout and a move into 105 and 106,000. So I do think we will break out. I just think this breakout, I mean, it has the possibility to be a real breakout. But I'm going to be on the cautious side and say that it's more likely that we will retest a single print at 102.5 thousand, or a naked point of control and the point of control in general at 101,800. before getting a real breakout, but that is something I'll keep you updated on as well. When we're talking about Ethereum and XRP specifically, Ethereum has actually rallied up higher as well, which I did not expect. I thought we would pull back a little bit lower. I was wrong about that, and XRP, look, but Ethereum is just going to follow Bitcoin. There is some momentum, but ultimately it's very low compared to before. And with XRP, I also thought we would pull back first, but ultimately we're just relatively stable. And there's not a lot of momentum, right? I mean, if you're looking for momentum, I don't think Ethereum and XRP are the best places to look. So what are the best places to look if we actually do get a real breakout with Bitcoin right here, or if it turns into a real breakout? Well, a couple of things. I think Aptos is relatively strong. I think Litecoin is relatively strong. So Aptos, I'm in a little position myself, but you can see right here that Aptos has been able to reclaim back into this range. It's now sitting at the point of control, which is serving as resistance, but it seems quite likely that this is a real reclaim and that we will be able to rally up higher into 3.4 and 3.5. Now, how you're going to trade that is a whole different story, so still be careful and think about that wisely, but it's outperforming the markets. Litecoin has quite a lot of momentum, but I would wait for a deeper pullback into the previous range and a good reaction there. Because right now we have technically broken above a significant level right here at $102, but we found resistance at the yearly rolling VWAP. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, which is not the best place to trade altcoins at. And then when we're talking about volume, we'll go over a couple of ones quickly here that still have volume, that still have momentum. Near, Filecoin, Litecoin again still, ICP potentially, but that is, it's not doing amazing. And I think personally BitTensor actually has, so that's Tau, actually still has some breath to rally up higher, especially since the Tau halving is coming in December. And that is what I think you need to know going into the next week. There's no major events scheduled that I think you need to know about already right now. So I'll keep you updated through on that throughout the week. But that's it for now. So thank you for watching, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care and bye.